Hello, and welcome to Rallying the Forge. I'm your host, Sol. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Rallying the Forge. I'm Solimer, and today we've got some great news and a ton of spoilers. So let's start off with an event happening March 8th, 4 p.m. Saturday. It's the same slot as the Saturday Sealed Showdown. It's going to be the Saturday Sealed Showdown, but it is a special pre-release event for Set 4. So if you want to play some Set 4 before it's officially released, join this event. It's a $5 entry fee. You get a booster, so that's one deck of each faction, and you get to play 4 rounds. I think he's still setting it for 4 rounds, even though he's got it up to 64 players, just for time considerations, because people in other parts of the world, it gets late for them beyond that. So, if you join this, you get your 4 decks for $5, which is, you're never going to beat that price, aside from free. So, it's 4 rounds. They go pretty quick. I would say at most the event runs 2.5 hours, typically, maybe. I don't know about typically, but 2.5 hours roughly. So you can account for that, because it's going to be all new cards outside of what's been spoiled. Matches may take a little longer with people trying to think things out a little more as they play, but I highly recommend signing up for this. This was just announced today. Well, when you're seeing this, it'll have been yesterday. But we already have 19 out of 64 slots filled. This is going to fill up almost assuredly. So Gorgeous did say if it fills up, he'll talk with SB about expanding it beyond that. So right now, though, 64 slots. Come sign up and play. Get 4 decks for $5 and play 4 rounds and have a blast. There will be no top cut or anything of that nature. However, because it is the Saturday Sealed Showdown, it is going to count for the tournament points to play in the special invitational at the end of the, we'll call it the season for the Saturday Sealed Showdown. The top 8, I think, it might be 16, not positive on that, but the top 8 for sure will get to play in this invitational, and you use one of your decks you used in one of the Sealed Showdowns to play. So you pick your best deck, and you play that deck again against everyone else's best decks that they had. So they can be pretty fun, but the thing about this one, based on how he does the points, is first place is going to get 64 points. Last place will get 1 point. So you can see the gap right there. I didn't pull up the leaderboard. I don't know if it's updated anyhow, but I think Traveler's in the lead. He's got like 100 points. So if, let's say, he missed this event and you're sitting there with 20 points, but you come through and win this thing, you're right back on his tail. So anything can happen. We don't, who knows what's going to be good and whatnot. It's going to be fun trying to build these fuses. You'll have 20 minutes at the start of the event to build your deck. However, you'll have your code an hour before the event starts, or that's when he'll start distributing them anyhow. So this is really exciting. Also, if I'm not mistaken, you'll get an extra deck code per win you get. So 4 rounds, you could get another booster worth of decks. I don't know if they're going to do boosters and then single deck codes or how that's going to work. Hopefully it's boosters, so you get like one of each faction. But very exciting. This was dropped in the Discord, which I'll pull up here. Lucas mentioned it. So he talks about the pre-release coming on March 8th. It releases globally on March 15th. So that is a week later. That's that Saturday. I don't know if they're going to have any other events. He links to this pre-release event. So initially, the release is going to be digital, and then somewhere down the line here, I don't know if that means a month or 2 months, hopefully no more than that, then it'll go to physical print. So for those who like physical, you'll have it in a few months potentially, hopefully no longer than that. I really hope that it's sooner than that, but it'll be what it is. Set 4 is coming middle of March here, pre-release on the 8th. We have spoilers, of course. I mentioned that at the top of this. So we have 2 new spoilers, 2 new ones that were supposed to be released but hadn't been. So I'm putting them as part of my recap video. I'm adding them in and going to release them. If they get released between now and the video release, then you'll see them. But otherwise, if not, then they're going to be new to you. And, hopefully you enjoy. So the first one we have here is Vampiric Hunger. This is a Necrium spell. So this recap, I should say, is recapping the Necrium Tempest week for anything else that was released. These should all be their content creator releases. So I'm just recapping what they've released. We'll talk a little bit about them. And then I'm also going to have the article cards. And because I never read the article, I'm just going to put the images up and we'll talk about those. We won't worry about the article. You'll be able to see that link if you want to read through that or whatnot. But Vampiric Hunger, Necrium spell. So you have, it's basically Soul Reap, but then it gets to be augmented onto a creature, and it gives you a slay trigger for half of the Soul Reap there. It doesn't do the player portion, does the creature portion, or you could look at it as like a portable sacrifice chamber. I think the stats are the same across in sacrifice chamber. So this card, it's a common. I really like it. Well, one, because it's a removal card, right? Or potentially with 3, 5, and 7 damage. But you also gain health, which is a staple for Necrium, right? Deal damage, gain health. And then you get to put this on a creature, potentially, and they gain a slay ability where they can do it again, essentially, except that this other half of it does to the player when they slay. So they don't deal damage to another creature, they do it to the player now. So it's got half Soul Reap, and then it's got a slay trigger for Soul Reap, so it can trigger multiple times if your creature lives. So arguably better than Soul Reap, depending on how you look at it. It also doesn't require a beast, which Soul Reap does. So I really, really think this is a strong spell. I mean, everyone can have their own opinions on it, but I just think being able to have that slay trigger potentially proc multiple times just gives it so much value. And that's one of those things where people always talk about the value on cards. This is a common, so it's going to be in a lot of set 4 decks. I just, it's not going to be, it reminds me of like Om Nom Nom when you have it in your hand. Granted, Om Nom Nom it's different because it's minus health and attack on a creature, but sometimes you don't want to play it if you can't kill something because you really want that payoff of getting the minion back, right? And in this case, you don't have to kill the creature to get that payoff. Technically, you still get to augment a creature, and assuming that you're setting this up where that creature's going to kill something, then you're going to get that payoff, the slay payoff, anyhow. Not that it always works out perfectly, but I look at it and it's the same, Om Nom Nom at level 3 is 8, reduces health by 8, but 7's close enough. So even if you don't kill the creature, this might weaken them enough that whatever you're playing against, it could kill it. There's a lot of scenarios where this is going to be great. I just I don't know. I'm trying to think of a situation where it's just going to be awful. It's not going to be an awful card. I think it's a really strong card, and it's definitely going to put a target on trying to get rid of whatever creature you put this on. So I absolutely love that card. And so that leads us to our second card. Let me pull it up here. And now we have Horrid Convergence. This is another Necrium spell. This one is rare. One of your creatures gets +3/+3 and attach a level 1 augment card from your banish pile to it. So you get a pump spell, similar to like a Druid's Chant, just no health gain from it, and not as good at level 3 technically, from just the stat point, not necessarily as the card goes. So you get a pump on a creature of yours, and then you attach an augment. So if you've got some in your banish pile, they killed off your creature with the previous augment, you can put it back out there with this. And the level 3 attaches 2 augments from your banish pile to it. So that can be really, really strong. And I don't know how the decks are going to work from an aspect of, does it require, obviously it's going to require 2 augments in it. So does that mean you're getting a minimum of 2? I don't know how those calculations are going to work as far as the requirements. I don't know how some people, ML Vanby seems to have endless knowledge with things that you would never even think to think about. So he'll probably have details about, this requires this. So getting a card like Horrid Convergence will be really cool, because if it does, assuming it's going to require at least 2 augments, you're going to have 2 other cards that are going to apply augments to your creatures. That's a great starting point for a deck, in my opinion, especially for a set 4 deck. That's what their 2 things are: augment and blast. So having augments be required would be nice, and having a deck that's going to have at least a couple of them that you're playing into the theme that they're trying to build with the set. I really like this card. At worst, it's a pump card. Not the greatest necessarily, but it's like a Druid's Chant. Like I said, you still get the life gain, but in this case, you get an augment. So, assuming you've played an augment or have an augment heavy deck and you've got stuff in your banish pile from it, you can kind of reanimate the augment, so to speak. It's attach is the technical term here. It's a different mechanic, but you're essentially reanimating an augment card onto one of your creatures. And, that's, depending on the other augments, these can be huge effects. So you can really pile on. And it doesn't have to be, you have other factions where they have other augments that maybe you like those augments better. Pair them together. Now you'd be pulling those augments out and putting them on creatures that you're pumping. So I really like this card. I think, obviously, with the right build, right type of deck, it can be really strong. There's definitely going to be cases where if all you've got are 2 augments in your deck, this card might not be as powerful because they may not be in your banish pile, or when you go to play, attach 2 of them, you've only got 2, but maybe only one of them's in the banish pile. So it'll be interesting. I really like this card, though. I think it's really a strong card. It is a rare, so it's going to be interesting to see some of these high roll decks that end up coming out once we all get some set 4 going. So definitely like this. I really, we talked about, is Necrium going to take a step back, compared to some of the other factions? There's been a lot of Tempest so far released, I think, has probably the most cards spoiled. So, it looks fairly strong, potentially. Everyone's hoping Alloyin finally steps up and can be strong in the competitive world. Although, they're not left out entirely. There are some people who are really breaking the mold. Nathus and Scuba Toad had a stream recently, and there's a YouTube copy of it on Nathus's YouTube channel, where they discuss the meta, the current meta as it is, and what they think of it, and kind of where things are. They have kind of 6 tiers of archetypes that they feel that make up what the meta is, and it was a great stream, and there's so much information in there. 2 brilliant players going back and forth about all of these little things. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you do go watch it. They also spoiled 2 cards, which I will have here as well. They might be the next 2 cards, actually. Let's see. Yeah, they're the next 2 cards. So you'll see it here as well. If you haven't seen their episode, go watch it. Even if you've seen the spoilers, everything else with that video is incredible. One of the best videos in the past year, and definitely the best video so far this year. So let's get to the next card here. I'm going to butcher this name. Let's pull up. I'm already struggling to even put the name in there. Aislyn. We'll try Aislyn. Aislyn Northwind. She is a Tempest Mobility common creature, warrior type. When this moves, give an adjacent creature plus 3, 5, or 8 attack. So it's after she moves, creatures adjacent to her can get the. You get to pick one. It doesn't do both. I was thinking it did both when they showcased it. It's only one though. I think. Makes it sound like it's one. So, based on how I'm reading it as one, but it could just be ambiguous and just mean both. Meaning, I don't know. We'll see how it works in client, I guess. Once it's released, I'm sure somebody will get her in a deck and use her. So, I'm not so big on this card. I think if she gave herself the attack buff, she would be better off. This reminds me of Palladium Simulacrum. When I first started playing SolForge, SolForge Fusion, I should say. I did play SolForge, though. But I had a deck, an Alloyin, we'll call it a movement deck, but Simulacrum was the strongest card in the deck, probably, as far as I remember. I have the deck somewhere, but I don't have the actual Fuse deck in my collection anymore. I retired that because it was awful. But I looked at the card, I was like, oh man, this is going to be strong. I move this, and he just keeps pumping. When he moves himself, he pumps himself up. And occasionally, there was a payoff there, and it was good. Rarely ever since, that was when I was first learning to play. I was playing against my son, and we just had, 1 or 2 boosters, and we had fused some decks together. No, they probably weren't any good in looking back at them. But once you play on the client now with everyone who's out there, and I've played plenty of competitive matches now, the deck was atrocious, and it would never work. And I still look at, I don't look for Palladium Simulacrum decks anymore. I think it's a card that just it's not in the right environment. And I look at this as a similar thing. Granted, she is pumping adjacent creatures when she's moving around. That's okay. It's like playing a creature, and I don't remember the modifier, but it's like, you play this, give adjacent creatures plus X attack. And, okay, that's nice. That can be nice. I just don't... Personally, I don't have a lot of decks that utilize cards like that. I don't build them like that. If it's in the deck, okay, it's just kind of a bonus thing. I'm not looking at like, oh, I need to get this guy out. He's important. The closest one would be like the Uranti Heartseeker, because at level 3 he gives creatures with 10 or more attack breakthrough, so that can be important. But at the same time, I don't play him much, and he's not in a lot of decks that I have that I play competitively. There is one deck currently, I'm trying to think of what deck. It might be my RSC deck that has him in it. And I do try to play it, but his earlier levels are similar to hers. It's just not strong enough to drop on the board. I think his level 1's a 3-6, she's a 3-5. And yeah, I could move her, and then she's going to buff somebody else, and it's like, it's okay, but it's like, she doesn't do anything else for me. She buffs another creature, but I could use that Necrium spell we just saw and give a creature +3/+3 at level 1. Whereas, yeah, she's a body. She might do 3 damage, but she's going to be taken off the board quickly. She's going to be a non-factor. She's going to be something I like to do when I play is when they have a weak creature out that I know they don't necessarily want to replace, if they're not playing like a replacement type deck with Pokemancer or certain Uterra decks that have a lot of replacement things that get huge creatures out. If they're not playing that type of deck, if they've got a weak creature out that they know that they don't just want to replace because they don't want to lose the board state that they have built up, I'll put a creature across from it that I know they can't kill unless they replace their guy with someone huge, and I'll let my guy that I don't want to die wear down whatever they've got there that's weak that they're not going to replace. Either it's going to kill it off that turn, or it might give me a couple turns where my guy is technically safe because he's doing other things for me. Comes to mind like Darkheart Sorcerer, for example. If they're on Forge and I'm not playing him second, I'm playing him on my first action, I don't want them to play something across from it that's going to kill it right away. I don't want that. So if they've got, for example, a 2/2 Wisp on the board, I'll play it across from the Wisp knowing he's going to kill the Wisp. He's going to take 2 damage, but he's safe, and the next turn they're off Forge, so they can't, without aggressive, they can't take him out directly with combat damage. So I protect my creatures. She's perfect for my opponent to do that with. She's only a 3/5. I mean, I can play a Spring Dryad, for example, across from her, and yeah, she'll kill the Spring Dryad in 2 turns, and I'll kill her in 2 turns, but I get to protect my Dryad for those 2 turns that I get my Dryad out there. And that may be all I need from it, because a level 1 Dryad isn't super critical to building up things all the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice, and it can definitely function well with Kindred and stuff like that, or if you're playing tons of creatures and bodies, but that may be all I need out of it is a couple turns, or maybe I've got something else where I'm going to be able to remove her anyway, and it won't matter. I'm going to pump my Dryad, or all sorts of things. So I'm not big on her. Her level 3, the stats aren't atrocious. She does have mobility 3, so she can move around quite a bit, and giving +8 can be really good. Unfortunately, because they're not doing reprints in this set, she can't pair with like a Thunder Sword unless you have a Betrayer version. So there are, hopefully in future sets, they'll be reprinting cards, adding them in, and should be paired with a Thunder Sword in a deck potentially. And that would be a really strong combination, similar to how you have the Thunder Stomper or the Mangasaur with a Thunder Sword, and you have those built-in synergies that can be really good. So I'm not huge on her. I don't feel that Nathis or Scuba Toad were huge on her. They did talk about in sealed play she might be really strong, but that's her. So interesting card. I'm not super big on it, but it is what it is. So my next card is this Pyro Puncture. They released this as well in that video. So it's a Tempest spell, common, deal 5, 8, 12 damage to an enemy creature. If it's augmented, it instead deals 10, 16, and 24, doubles the damage. I think this will be definitely useful in sealed, because everyone's going to be, if you're playing sealed, they're all playing the same set 4. So they're going to have augments more than likely. Kind of like having exalts in set 2 and 3 and stuff. So the base damage is a little low. However, I think Scuba Toad summed it up best. It's kind of like a Disintegrate, but weaker. Disintegrate is 8, 14, and 20, but it has to be a creature that's played that turn. So this trades off damage for being able to damage any enemy creature. And it's okay. I'm okay with it. I mean, you don't want to make just make it disintegrate, but it has a bonus effect or something. So, it's okay. It's got damage along the lines of Lightning Spark, 5, 8, and then it does 12 instead of 10 at level 3. So it's kind of a mixture of the two cards. It's just a removal card. Obviously if stuff's augmented, it's better off. Even holding, instead of playing the level 1 to do the 5 damage, if you held it, it's stronger against an augmented creature at level 1 than it is at level 2 against any creature. So that is something to think about. So holding it back and just hoping to draw it later when they do have an augmented creature, there's a smaller payoff there. But otherwise, it's just a damage card. It's not bad. You'll be able to use it at those levels. There are definitely creatures with 5, 8, and 12 health. It's not going to get rid of their massive bear that they have at level 3 or anything unless it's augmented. But you can't have a common spell that's just this. You can't have Dreadbolt all over again. Just destroys everything. I mean, you could, I suppose, but so we won't spend too much time on that one. And then we had released during one of the SolForge limited events, we have Fuse Ooze. So this was kind of accidentally spoiled by Lucas trying to prove a point about a card working properly when we were teasing him on stream about something being bugged based on how it works, and it's not bugged apparently. So he proved us wrong. He really proved Gorgeous wrong because Gorgeous wanted the receipts. But so this is an Ooze Warrior Necrium common. It's a 4/7, 6/10, 8/11. I like, the level 1 has increased health. The level 2 is probably on par, maybe slightly higher where it should be. And then level 3, it's a little weaker, but it has a slay ability. This gets plus attack equal to the printed attack of the creature it destroyed. So printed is what's on the card, not their current stats or buff stats or anything of that nature. It's what's on the printed attack of the creature destroyed. I like that. So he's going to grow. He's got decent health at level 1 and 2 that it's probably going to take 2 turns to take him out, unless it turns out that there's a lot more big creatures at level 1 and 2, just at a basic level for this set, which we don't know all the cards yet. But my feeling is it's still going to take 2 turns to take these guys out. If they're going against weaker health things, then they're going to get a boost to their attack, and then as long, if you can keep their health up, they've got to answer that with something that's sizable. The level 3, it's a bit disappointing in the health department, but at level 3, it can be really strong if it does get the slay trigger to go off and live. So maybe pumping this up or using augments with this will make it really strong. I don't know that this card alone is going to be breaking anything. I think it's a neat effect to have on it. It might do well in a sealed environment. But neat little card. I love the art on it. It looks really cool. I'm not normally big into the art on cards, but this set definitely has some, and it's got probably my current favorite art that I can think of coming up. So Fuse Ooze was released there, and then we had in the Discord, this was released, and this card is amazing. this card is really, really amazing. So this is Shrapnel Armor for Alloyin. Obviously, it's a rare spell. One of your creatures gets 4 armor this turn. It blasts 4. One of your creatures gets 6 armor this turn. It blasts 6. One of your creatures gets 9 armor this turn. It blasts equal to its armor. So, one of the combos, it's listed. It was listed on Nathus's and Scuba Toad's chart as an infinite combo, but I'm not sure it's an infinite combo more than it is an instant kill combo. So I'm not positive. I don't have a Betrayer Soltar to even play with that, and a Blighted Ironbeard. I do have Blighted Ironbeards. I just don't have the Betrayer Soltar. So, as I understand it, and this is completely uninformed, but basically Soltar at level 3 has 100 armor on him. He's the Kragaia's Stopper if you ever have that matchup going on, because he has 100 armor. With Blighted Ironbeard, he pumps all of your guys, all your creatures on the board with armor, and then deals damage to the opposing player equal to how much armor you have, or you get to deal to a creature, and then the excess goes to the player, or something along those lines. I probably should have pulled that up and had it ready for this, but I don't, so I apologize for that. So, in theory, though, with the level 3 Soltar with 100, unless they've got a ton of health, you're hitting them for 100 damage, in theory, right? Which will kill most players, anyone who's not playing a ton of life gain, or even if they are playing life gain and you've kept them at a reasonable level, that's going to kill them. So that was something that some people have played around with it. I haven't seen it in any competitive environments. I haven't run into it randomly. I haven't played it at all. So I don't know the exact mechanics around it. Maybe it has to do with having a Mantis out there or something and getting to do it multiple times. I have no idea. So, but this card at level 3 lets you blast equal to the armor of the creature. You're going to give them 9 armor. Blast, remember, will hit whatever's in front of it, and any excess goes to the player. So again, if you do this with your Betrayer Soltar, he'll have 109 armor, and he'll blast equal to that straight across, and that will hopefully kill your opponent as well. Granted, you have to have the Betrayer Soltar on the board with his extra compadre that gives him the armor, and then you got to have this in your hand. If you get that, it's kind of like an instant win. So now you don't have to use Blighted Ironbeard, which you had to flip the Exalt before transform it to be able to get the effect to work in the way that was needed. Now you just have to have the spell in your hand. So this combo is going to be out there, and to me it sounds fun. I don't know how competitive or consistent it could be or will be, but definitely a cool card. I definitely love and hate these kind of mechanics where you're giving people armor, and then in this case, you're blasting through. It's like a Forge Plate Yeti type of ability. I love it because I think Forge Plate Yeti is a super fun card. It's a good, well-balanced card in my opinion. But I do like this, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out being in this set. It'll be kind of fun also, Betrayer versions of this, using it with robot decks from previous sets, where you get all the robots out there and they're pumping armor, or the scrap bot that gives another robot armor. You get tons of armor out there, and then you do this, and it can just be fun. So I think this card's super cool. Really like it. Really excited for it. Alloyin is getting some cool tools. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out in that regard. Also spoiled last week, we got some new Forgeborns, and it's going to be exciting. So this one was released by the Two Carls and a Bryce stream. So that's Carl, Carly, and Iron Bryce. And I made this graphic with each level of the abilities, so you can see what it will be at each different level, 2, 3, and 4. On the card that they showed, it didn't show Bloodlust, so Bloodlust is the 4th ability that Toxys Mori can have. She is an assassin. But you have Vampiric Feast, which is cool. Deal damage to the player, gain that health. So it's a Disian Siphon type ability, but stronger. You have Stealthy Strike. Give one of your creatures stealth, and then when this deals damage to a player, you gain that much health this turn. That can be a really big game changer. If you've got someone that's going to be unblocked, you can pop that and just, I mean, that's whatever the damage you're doing, it's double that much of a swing. You're dealing that much damage and you're gaining that much health, putting you guys way farther apart. For Stealthy Strike, it's the same at every level, no matter 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we have, we'll do the Queen's Knife, probably my least favorite of the 4 abilities. Give one of your creatures plus 3, 5, or 7 attack. This turn it has Slay. You may destroy a level 1, a 1 or 2, or a creature. This ability can only trigger once per turn, so it gives you kind of a Cacklebones ability. I don't like it that much. I just don't. Not that I've ever really been big on Cacklebones. But I just, I don't know. Like, you're using it, and you're going to use it on something that's going to kill something. So then you get an extra trigger instead of being able to push damage where you'd want to put it on someone who's unblocked. They could have done a Grimgaunt Predator type ability where if it deals damage to the other player, you get the trigger. That would have been better, but I understand needing to have one of the 4 abilities not be really good. Obviously, everyone has opinions at what level do you want this ability. And for this one, I would say at 3 or 4 if I'm going to have it. Don't really want it at 2. Stealthy Strike, I also want at 3 or 4. And for Vampiric Feast, I probably want it at 2 or 3, honestly. And then we have Bloodlust. So, might be harder to see. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Let's see. That might be good enough for you guys. I don't know. Bloodlust. Choose an enemy creature. When it is destroyed this turn, deal damage to the enemy player equal to its printed attack. So, it also wants you to destroy an enemy creature, and then that creature is going to deal damage to the enemy player equal to its printed attack. I wonder if that'll work on Krogaius, if you manage to have the killing blow there, because he would be in the banish pile. The trigger would go off, but normally it would just fizzle. But because he's in the banish pile, I just wonder. So this one, though, can be really good if they've got a big creature. They've pumped him up, but he's got just a little bit of health left. You're going to chump block him. You pop this on it, and now he's going to deal... You blocked him, and now he's going to deal that much damage back to the opponent. I really like this effect. Obviously, it's going to be... Could be kind of limited in scope. It also, any level of this can be really good. At cycle 4, you're using that, and that could win you the match because they can't eat that much damage. They have to make sure whatever they're bringing on the board doesn't die if you've got this sitting there, because you pop that, and now that's a problem. That could kill them if they're not going to kill you that turn and win by more. So it definitely is interesting. I think my favorite is the Stealthy Strike ability, followed by Vampiric Feast, just because they're, as long as you get the stealth through, assuming you're going to, it's just nice. That can be really nice. Vampiric Feast is just simple. And then Bloodlust is my third favorite, and Queen's Knife is my least favorite. But, it is what it is, I guess. The other Forgeborn we got to see is Tundra. Let me fix that image here. There. So, his 4 abilities. This was released by Jed Bionic Soup. He had a fun stream where he released this. It has Collective Conjuration. Levels 2, 3, and 4 is deal 2, 3, and 4 damage to an enemy creature or player for each creature in the back row. This will count for you and your opponent. So that could be a lot of damage. Maximum, of course, times 10 if you had full boards in the back row. So 40, 30, 20 damage potentially at their levels. It's extreme, but I really liked. The first thing I thought of with this was nap time. I've got a deck that, because my deck is a late cycle type deck, it's a slow build up to its win conditions. I've got a nap time in there, and I love using nap time level 3 on my opponent in cycle 4 when they might be trying to push a lot of damage on me, obviously, to win the match. Maybe I don't have my stuff set up yet. I don't have much in the front row. And if I do, I use nap time 3, pushes all their stuff to the back, and it slows them down for a turn, or potentially on the last turn of the game where they would have been able to win it, now they can't win it. So this, using nap time and then having this ability, could be really fun. I've had matches where my opponent has 5 creatures on the board. Well, that's 20 damage. Normally, by that time, 20 damage is normally enough to kill them. And that doesn't count what I have in the background my side either. So I really like this ability for later in matches. Just my opinion. I really like the idea anyway with nap time. That was the first thing I thought of. So, and we've seen with Tempest, they have a lot of defenders coming out. And with that, that's going to be something that can take advantage of their own defenders as well. So there's a lot of potential there, a lot of damage. I don't know how strong it'll end up being, but you can also use it to kill an enemy creature if there's one on the board that's causing an issue, or just go for the player's face. So then they have War Drums, which is level 2 here. Your creatures in the back row get +3 attack. This turn, they lose Defender and get aggressive. The 3 and 4 is +5 attack and +7 attack. This goes right into us talking about how Tempest has a lot of Defender creatures that have been spoiled so far. We assume they're going to have a bunch, kind of a theme for them. So this gets rid of Defender, it makes them aggressive. I kind of liked it. I don't know how it's going to play out, if I'm going to like the ability or not. Depends on how those decks build up, I guess. But I did think of things primarily for me in campaign, where I've got my Darkheart Sorcerer in my deck, and I've got things that pump warriors up, or he just keeps getting pumped up. I've got this massive Darkheart Sorcerer on the board I never get to do anything but the spell stuff with. This would allow me to make him aggressive and strike finally. So I could see it as a fun thing. I don't know how it's going to work with the decks till we see how they're formed. So I'm holding back my opinion on it for now. So then we have Uranti Magic. One of your creatures gets +4 attack, +6, +8 at the other levels. This turn it has Slay, play a level 1 spell for free, or play a level 1 or 2, or just play a spell for free. it's okay. You have to really lay that out in a specific way to be able to take advantage of it. You have to wait till you, one, can kill something to be able to play the spell for free, have to have the spell in hand that you didn't want to play initially, or that you don't have to play initially. And then, of course, you get the bonus attack, and it's just kind of mediocre. It's not backbreaking. It's okay. So I'm not huge on this ability just because you have to wait and line it up. And then you've only got 3 turns to do this, to line it up and have that work out. Now, yes, you could have the opportunity, but it takes a specific deck layout that to take advantage of it and make it really a strong play. So not as big on this one. Then we have Fervor for Battle. Level 2 here. One of your creatures gets +4 attack. This turn it has Slay. Give one of your creatures +4 attack. So it can give itself +4 attack. Level 2 or 3 and 4 is +6 and +8 for all the attack numbers. This one, again, it's okay. I like it better than the other one just because this one it has the same type of requirement. And the other one, you need a spell in hand. This one, you need another creature on the board. So, but you can give this one itself the attack. So you don't technically have this one just has to live. You just need a creature on the board, essentially. The other one just needs a spell. So I'm not huge on these abilities. I like the Collective Conjuration. War Drums, I'll withhold my opinion on it. It also is 1 attack less than the other 2. So I just wish they would have made it. They might as well just made it 4, 6, and 8 for all of them. But yeah, I just not super big on this one. So okay, so now we're going to get into the cards that are in the article, and we'll talk about those. So let's go to this one. Groma Brighttusk. Uterra Mage. It's a 5/5 at all 3 levels. So obviously, as far as strength goes, it's the strongest at level 1. It has deploy if this replaced a creature, play up to 1 Wisp minion. The level 2 is if this replaced a creature, play up to 1 Oakfather minion. And the level 3 is if this replaced a creature, play up to 2 Oakfather minions. So it's kind of a backwards replacement card. Normally you would replace a creature and you're going to have, obviously this is going to be a big creature and it's going to play another creature with it, a sidekick. In this case, though, this has to replace something and then you get the big bonus creatures with it at level 2 and 3 anyhow. I don't know how I feel about it because I don't know how much minion play or replacement synergies and things of that are in the set. So I just don't know how strong it's going to be. Obviously, playing an Oakfather or 2 Oakfathers is really nice. But we used to get that in Forgeborn abilities. So I guess you could... Well, no, if you had a Betrayer version, then you could play this with one of those Forgeborn and get even more Oakfathers. But, yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about this card. It seems okay. Obviously, you have to have stuff to replace to be able to play stuff. So there's a level there of, how good is this going to be? This could be really good pairing with the Drix Apocalypse Rallying type deck for Alloyin if they have other replacement synergy type cards that can go with it. That would be a really fun deck to have because you're going to replace something and then it could be Gizmo minions. You're going to play more minions, especially Oakfathers, which are nice. Just a lot there for it. I'm sure there's going to be other cases where this will be a thing. So there's also, I think, an Alloyin for set 4 If I'm not mistaken, there was an augment that was shown as if this is replaced, attach this to the creature. So you could pump him up by pairing it with stuff like that. If that's an Alloyin, then pair it with Alloyin maybe. So not saying there's not uses for him, but unsure on how strong this will be. Especially because the stats aren't getting bigger at level 2 and 3. So it'll be interesting to see, I suppose. Maybe that's part of the way they want it to work. So next has my favorite single card art picture in it. We have Dozer, the Slumbering Fury. I remember this card from original SolForge. I think this is the same art. And I don't remember the stats on the original or anything of that nature, but I feel like it's the same kind of concept, if not the same exact concept. It was the level 3 art is awesome. I think it's crazy. So he starts out as a 6/5 with breakthrough. He's a beast. He's rare. The level 2 is a defender, and he's a 0/12. At the end of the deck cycle, you may replace this with level 3 Dozer, the Slumbering Fury. So he's kind of like a Phoenix or other dragging cards where they turn into their next level after end of cycle. So he can turn into the 12/12 Mobility 1. And he has, at the start of combat, this strikes the opposing creature, so he can potentially clear his own lane. This only gets better as you pump him up, of course, because he'll be able to kill more things. I'm kind of disappointed he doesn't get breakthrough at level 3 as well, but he does have mobility, so he can move around and just go on a tear of your creatures if you don't kill them. So really excited for this card. I think it's going to be a really good card. I don't know that it's going to be Kragaius level where you build entire decks around him potentially. Maybe it turns out to be that way. I just think 12/12 is going to be, that's average or mediocre perhaps for level 3 stats anyhow. I think obviously being able to pump him up will make him super strong, and as long as you play with him smart, he's going to be able to keep his lanes clear. That's the hope. So really like this card. We'll see how strong he ends up being. He could be a really, really strong card, and I'm just not seeing it yet. I think he'll be a great card. I just don't know that he's going to be like Kragaius, where you're just looking for a deck with him in it. Doesn't matter almost what else is in it. Your whole idea is Kragaius. So, and maybe that's why they didn't give him breakthrough, because maybe he'd just be too similar, being able to strike something and then pump damage through. I don't know. So, love this card. I'm looking forward to getting him and hopefully in a great build and be able to utilize him. That's going to be so much fun. It's also going to suck to play against it. You have to be really smart when you're playing against it and when you have them to use them properly. So it's going to be interesting. And I love the art. The art is awesome. He's just shredding that robot there. So really, really cool. All right. Next card we have here is Nina, Pack Mother. And it's a Uterra Beast common, 3/3, 5/5, 8/8. And she has, when one of your creatures comes into play adjacent to this gets +2/+2, +3/+3, and +5/+5. So she can grow very big by playing creatures beside her. This can work well with minion type decks where you're playing so many minions you're just replacing them on top of each other, or as we talked before about Alloyin decks with like Drix where you're pumping out gizmos and then you're replacing the gizmos with creatures. She's going to get big buffs. It's like It's like having a kindred ability, but it's not life gain. It's just playing a creature adjacent to it. Other cards that have been spoiled, the legendary also has mechanics where you're playing stuff adjacent to it. This does open up these types of cards to Ice Storm from previous sets, where it's going to damage 3 cards all adjacent to each other. So there is that drawback, as people will play mixed sets. Obviously, it's not just going to be set 4 cards and sealed, it will be. But so I really like this. I think her strength level is fair for starting out. If you're playing her, obviously your next play should be to play another creature next to her or on the same turn if you can. But that way you're pumping her up, and then she's got fair stats for her level. But you got to play at least one creature adjacent to her. If you play 2 creatures adjacent to her, then she's above the curve for the stats for that level, I think. So, in my opinion, it's a good card. It is a common, so we'll see lots of it. And I know there are some beast synergy things between the sets in this, between the factions in this set. So, excited to see how this works out with decks. This could be really interesting. I don't mind the ability. I think it's pretty good. But you do need to get stuff played adjacent to it to really get some value out of it. If you just play it as is, it's not a strong play. So you do have to work to make some of these cards stronger. So let's see what's next. So then it is Uterra and Alloyin week. So now we have the Uterran loyalty card. And we talked about these. They're going to be free spells if you have 2 of that faction's creatures in play. So obviously you're going to have 2 factions. You could have 2 loyalty cards in your deck potentially, but this one gives a creature +2/+2, +4/+4, or +6/+6. So it's like a Ferocious Roar, but just for 1 creature. And it's a little bit better on the level 2 there. But free spell, it's not bad. You know, free spells are fun and awesome. So that's just, it is what it is. It's a free pump card. It can be really useful, though. So let's get to some of the Alloyin cards here in the article. We have Mindbreaker and the Stoic. This one's a Stoic Mindbreaker. It's a 4/4/7/5/9/8. It's a Metamind warrior, so you see that warrior again. It seems like there's going to be a lot of warriors in this set. You can see it's got a rare modifier term, so Stoic is going to be rare, and the card itself is common, the Mindbreaker. It has Activate. An enemy creature gets -2 attack for each Metamind you have in play. -3 and then -4, and it says if it has 0 attack, destroy it. It's interesting. I would have loved to have this with the Warden from set 3. So I guess you need a Betrayer version of this or that. And depending on how many Metaminds are out there, I don't know, because it really hasn't been a creature type where you're trying to gather all of those in particular. I think Dox is a Metamind, so a Betrayer version of this might be something that goes really well with some set 3 decks from Alloyin, or maybe you just go for the Betrayer versions of some of the set 3 cards that you want to pair with an Alloyin deck from set 4 here with him in it, depending on how many other Metaminds and other decrease attack type of abilities they have. So this can obviously be really strong. At worst, it's a 2, 3, and 4. That's at worst. And at best, if you had 5 out there, that'd be ridiculous. But I like the card. The stats are okay. I don't know how Stoic affects the stats, so I don't know if he just has generally lower attack. The level 3 is a bit weak, but his activate ability, assuming that you're going to have the Metamines out there, probably make him live a turn or two extra, hopefully, in theory. But not awful. But I do like his ability. I think it's going to be interesting to see what else with the suppressive type cards like this, how that's going to play into the Alloyin play lines, I guess. So that's the Mindbreaker. And now we will get to Axion Shift. And this one's another Metamind. It's a scientist this time. Deploy. You may switch 2 enemy creatures' attack. And then the level 3 is an activate doing that. So that can be a lot of fun. Not, maybe. The stats on this are 4, 4, 7, 7, 8, 8. So, again, level 3, not super strong. But it could be with the activate, and depending how you can finagle some of those things. It will definitely be interesting to see. Just another interesting card, I suppose. You know, if there's going to be a Metamind type deck and they got all these Metamind creatures and you have them out there and it just synergizes super well, that's going to be great. A standalone, yeah, it's okay. You know, it's not a Palladium Pulse Mage for a standalone card. So, but yeah, I don't mind it. I think this will be these type of cards here are going to be definitely up some people's wheelhouses on trying to be creative and using them. So I will look forward to seeing what they brew up. At the same time, I will not probably enjoy playing against it because when they do stuff like that, it's just more annoying things they have to deal with that you normally maybe wouldn't have to in competitive play. But they make it fun, and you know, all the props to them when they make stuff with these cards and really turn them into beasts. So then we'll have our last card before the loyalty card. We have Arion Kest. Hopefully I'm saying that right. It's a 3/3, 7/6, 12/9. It's a warrior. It is rare. It has stealth. When this deals damage to an enemy player, this deals that much damage to an enemy creature. I'm trying to think. So this is basically a... I'm blanking. The elemental from the Windspark elemental. Tempest. It's basically his ability here. I like that it's in Alloyin. There are some other cards from previous sets that kind of have similar type things. I'm thinking of Espionage in particular, but I love how this works in its stealth for Alloyin, so they don't have aggressive to deal with it or something to remove his stealth. You're going to get that much through. With augments and how all of that stuff works, you can definitely pump this guy up quick and get a big hit through with the stealth and then kill off something else that they've got on the board. And there's not necessarily a lot they can do with it. The health totals are a little lower, but like I said, if you get that strike through, you're killing something off the board more than likely. And with depending on the augments and what you pair it with other decks, you can definitely pump that health up and make him where if they don't remove him, you're going to get another turn of being able to remove something. So I like this card a lot. So I think the level 1 tempers its entry, but then the level 2 and 3 really kick it up a notch and can cause problems. And there's lots of ways to pump their attack up if you're going to get it through. So going to be interesting, and definitely looking forward to see what kind of decks that these pop up in. If there are requirements for it or with other things or anything of that nature where things have to synergize. So, maybe there's going to be warrior type synergies that you're going to get a bunch of warriors on the deck or something for whatever. But really like this card. I think it's good, especially for Alloyin. This is something they definitely needed. So we'll definitely like having this type of card out there. So lastly but not least, we have the Alloyin Loyalty card. And it's, again, 2 Alloyin creatures. It's free. One of your creatures gets 4 armor this turn, 8 armor, and then 12 armor. Of the loyalty cards, depending on the deck this is in. If it's in with that the Shrapnel card, then I'd like the card. But if this is the only card doing anything with armor in your deck, not a huge fan of it. Like, armor is nice when you've got armor on all your creatures. If that's part of how your deck's built, is you're going to have armor. It's going to make it harder to kill creatures. But if you don't have any armor synergies going on, it's like, it's okay. Like, yeah, okay, I get to make this creature live this turn or prevent some extra damage this turn. Yes, it can be useful. It can be made into a useful situation. But almost any card could technically be in a useful situation, even digitize. So I'm just not big on it. But granted, it's free, so it is what it is. I don't know. With the armor synergies, if you get it in a deck with the Shrapnel card and some other stuff that has armor and whatnot, this will be a lot of fun, because that's going to only add to what you can do with the Shrapnel card, and that will be really exciting. So it's okay. As I said, these cards for Uterra and Alloyin are in the news article, which you can find on Stoneblade's website or through the Discord. Really looking forward to more spoilers this week. We'll see what we get. It will be interesting to see what additional spoilers come out. We have this week, and then next week we'll be leading up to the pre-release event. Like I said, sign up for that. 64 people right now. We can potentially go higher. We'll see how that goes. March 15th, Set 4 releases globally. It will be a digital release to start. Physical is going to be soon. They haven't really given a timeline on it, but I assume that it's been working in the background to get that process ready. So when they're ready to go that way, they can do it. Really looking forward to physical. I have a little nest egg saved up for that because I prefer physical. But the digital release, I do have some money stashed away for that to get familiar with the set and see what's out there and just play with the new cards, because that's always fun. So I will be doing streams and videos of pack openings when Set 4 releases. I just don't know the exact timeline. We're doing them on my account, my son's account. So I have to figure all that out exactly. I will, for the pre-release event, I will be streaming. Of course, I will be streaming probably from the moment I get my code. So the idea, hopefully an hour before the event, open my packs. We'll look at the decks. We'll see what I'm going to put together. Anyone who shows up and decides to talk and chat, anyone who's going to be in the event, we're going to see what other people are putting together. Really looking forward to that. Nobody knows exactly what, we're not going to know what all 5,500 cards are. So there's going to be some new things that pop up and people are like, oh, that's crazy. So really looking forward to it. Just don't know what's going to work or not work. Obviously got some ideas, but just don't know until we see the decks, deck list, and go through that and think in our heads about what's going to work. So really excited for it. I am not the best player at Sealed and just mashing 2 decks together and making, turning it into gold. So hopefully for me, I just get something that's super obvious that I should be playing. But I do look forward to looking at the cards and thinking and theory crafting. And I know there's going to be some really great players who are good at that type of thing playing. Two that come to mind are Faro and Traveler. They've been crazy good in the sealed events so far. Don't know if it's just good decks or, I know they're both great players, so I lean more towards that. They just more have a natural affinity for that stuff. So, but really looking forward to it. Obviously, more videos to come this week. We're going to have all the spoilers that content creators release. That'll probably be, again, next week. Depending on how long it takes to get them all released, we'll determine when I release the video of those cards. And then we will obviously have streaming the next Sealed Showdown this Saturday. I'll be streaming that, and I will have obviously more matches that I'm going to be recording, whether it's just in the online queue or if I get in with the SFG challenge matches against Crimson Caravan. I need to redeem myself and beat him this week. So hopefully I can get in on that. And then I think there's a silver event. Is it this weekend? No, it's not this weekend. That was last weekend. So I'm trying to think what else there might be. But there's going to be more videos of matches. And then there'll be some streams. At least one stream, and then we will do a recap of whatever content creators release as far as spoilers go. I do not have any this week. I kind of had double last week because it was Necrim and Tempest. So don't have any this week for Alloyin or Uterra. But we'll see if I get anything the week after, if there's any more spoilers to give out or not. But just looking forward to everything. Really excited. I know this video is really long. It's over an hour already, so I appreciate you watching this recap of the content creators spoilers from this past week and the news article spoilers from this week, along with any commentary and analysis I gave. Whether it's good or not, that's up to each person, but I do appreciate each and every one of you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or comment if you want, if you enjoyed the content. The likes really help me determine what people are interested in seeing. So the more likes, the better off that type of content is going to be, as I'll try to do more of it if that's what you guys like. So appreciate your time. Again, thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. I'll see you guys around. This has been an episode of Rallying the Forge. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.